Hey guys, how are you? I hope you had a nice break, nice Christmas and New Year's. I am still holding on to Christmas as long as I can. I know the holidays are over, but I don't quite want to let go yet. So I have one more image that we're going to do that's not really Christmassy, but it kind of ties in a little bit. I did a painting a few years ago. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Here's my little painting that I did a few years ago, and it's an old church. See if I can see you through here. It's an old church that's actually up in a small little town called Valencia, New York. And I took some pictures of it and then made this painting of it. It was built like in the 1700s or something like that. Anyway, I know that this painting would be a little bit difficult, but I tried to simplify it and make an image that we could do. It's got a little bit of a glare on it. We're going to break this down into real simple shapes. I think the reason why I thought that we could do this is because it's really geometric. It's squares and circles and triangles. And we're going to use, come up here now. We're going to use oil pastel and watercolor for this. So go get your supplies, pencil, eraser, oil pastels, and then your watercolor supplies. And if you have some, your epsom salts or just some regular table salt, okay? And then we'll get started, okay? Thanks. Okay, guys, so the first thing that we're gonna do on our image is draw our guidelines, okay? And really try to make this exact. Try to have it right down the center of your page, as straight as possible. Okay, and same thing going the other direction, but try to make it as straight as possible and right in the center of the page. And again, these lines are to help us place our objects so that they're in the right place on our paper. So if your lines are in the wrong place, your objects are going to be in the wrong place too. Okay, so now that I have my lines, I'm going to start with our church. Now, the very center part is going to be right here on the center line. I'm going to start just above where our two lines meet, just above there. And I'm going to come down about halfway down into this shape here. And just make a line like that, okay? Now I'm going to turn that into a rectangle. I'm going to come over about maybe 1.5 inches. We're going to turn this into a rectangle. Okay, and then on this line here, we're going to have the roof of the next little part. It's going to come about that far. I don't know, that might be like 2 inches, about 2 inches. And then over here, this side is going to be longer than the other side. So make it the same and then add, I don't know, maybe another inch or so over there, okay? Now, this is actually going to be a little bit of a roof. So we're going to make a little bit of a diagonal line. Make sure that it doesn't go more than halfway down to the bottom of this. So a little bit of a diagonal line that way and another diagonal line this way. Okay, and then we're going to bring this line over like that. And this line here we're going to bring over as well, but do this one a little bit lighter because we're going to make some changes to that later. Okay, and now over here I'm going to bring this down to the same level as this. Bring that over. And again, on this side, draw a little bit lighter because we're going to erase part of this. Like that. Okay. Now, in reality, this section here comes out further towards us. What we're going to do is take, I don't know, maybe that much, And this is going to be the stairs going up to the front door. So we're going to have a couple little lines. And then we'll do our front door, which is just, we're going to go straight up. And then we're going to have a little arch over top and straight back down, like that. Okay. And then to make the actual doors, we'll put a line. This is going to be a window above the doors. And then a straight line to separate the two doors. Now on mine, I did little Christmas wreaths. I just made like jaggy little, like a jaggedy little circle with another little circle inside. You know, and then if you want, you can do like a little bow. Really, it's so small that really if you just put like a little dot of red when you're coloring it in, that would probably be fine. So this is a brick building, but it has a little, I really don't know what it is. I don't know my architectural terms, but it's just a piece that sticks out a little bit like this. It might be concrete, or it's probably not concrete. Maybe it's stone. I'm not sure, but it sticks out over top like that. And then we have the bell tower. Our historic churches usually had a bell tower. So for that, we're going to make another rectangle. And then we're going to make it so that you can see inside of it. So we're going to go up just a little bit and make another little line. This is made out of wood, this section here. I happen to know that for a fact. This is made out of wood. So what we're basically creating is the wooden frame, but then this is like a clear part. It's not even really a window because there's not glass or anything in it. It's just open. It's like a hole cut in the wood. And then inside of that, we have our little bell. So I'm just going to make a little line coming down and then a bell shape. It's kind of like a little teeny tiny rainbow shape. And then it kind of rounds out at the bottom. Okay. And then there's an oval, a very small skinny oval. And a little, I don't know what that part's called either. The part that makes the bell ring, right down in there. So now on top of this, let's have another little piece of wood right here. And then we're gonna do a kind of a steeple. It's just gonna be a triangle that goes sort of on top of here. Now it's not gonna meet right on here. We're gonna go out just a tiny bit. On this side, maybe we can go out first. Go out a tiny bit. And then bring our triangle down. Now, you want to make sure that your point of your steeple is right smack in the middle of this. So if you're having a hard time with that, you know, maybe find your center and do a guideline that goes straight up to help you find that midpoint right up here. Because you don't want your steeple to be like pointing in the wrong direction. We also have, okay, so this is, again, is a wood frame. So this is a piece of wood right here. And we'll draw another line right here, which is another piece of wood. And then the way it's constructed is there's one more piece that goes across here. So it almost looks like, in fact, it does look like an A in the center here. We're gonna go like that. And then we're gonna have a piece that goes in the middle. Like that, okay? Now right here we have a little vent. It's probably to let the heat out. This is the highest part of the building, and there's probably a lot of heat that gets trapped in there, especially like in the summertime. And so this is a little vent. And then we're going to duplicate that shape inside of it. So a straight line goes up and curves and comes back down. And then there's just like some little lines inside of it. Okay guys, for this driveway that we're doing over here, we're gonna add a triangle roof. It's not gonna go all the way to the top here, but it does jut out, like it comes forward from the rest of the church. So I'm gonna bring the bottom of my triangle down just a tiny bit beyond the line that I already have there. Okay, like that. And then to make it look like it's coming towards us, we're gonna draw a diagonal line that way, and then a diagonal line that goes up to this roof line right here. And then we'll connect those two lines like that. I'm going to actually keep this line right here. Normally I would erase such things, but we actually need that line because we need a piece of wood to be right there. And then we need another piece of wood right here. And another piece right there. So after we do that, then we can erase these tiny little pieces of that original roof line outside of our triangle. Okay, there's just a little bit of woodwork in here. I don't know, I'm gonna make a beam like that, maybe another one that goes up like that. And actually that one is gonna come down as well, almost like a cross in the center of our triangle. And then we're gonna do a sideways triangle. And another one on this side. And then another one inside of that. This is all of our woodwork. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a line over here, and this is gonna go past the front of the church. In fact, I can use this other line right here as the other post. I'm gonna do another one right here. Okay, and then there's a support beam right here that helps to hold the whole thing up. Let's see, we're gonna erase this line now because this is actually like a drive-through. It literally is like a drive-through where maybe there's a side door there, and people would park and then let people out. I don't really know, but we'll leave it like that. Now what I do want to do is back here, you want to be able to see the other side of this. So I'm gonna have just a little bit of a curved line and another kind of a beam that's in the background. I'm gonna bring it up like that and have a bit of an arch, come over like that. And I think that's fine. Okay, now over here, we're actually going to erase a little bit of this wall because our new brick wall is going to end right here. Okay, so this is brick and this is brick. This is made out of wood. This is made out of wood. Of course, our doors. Oh, you know what? I need to put another little thing in here because the frame of this is wood and the window inside is glass, but we need to have that wooden frame. Okay, so now we just need to add windows, basically. So our dormer windows, those are the windows that are in the roof, that stick out of the roof. They're so easy. They're just a rectangle with a triangle. Okay, and then another rectangle inside. Remember that we have to have a wooden frame, and then the glass. And I'm gonna put just like a little cross inside there. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on this side. So a rectangle, try to make it about the same size and shape as the other one. Rectangle, triangle on top, another rectangle inside, and then like a little cross. Now these were taller and thinner, and they kind of had a rounded top. So I'm gonna go kind of like that. Okay, Again, try to make them as similar as possible. Okay, and then we're gonna have a rounded piece of glass right there and a rectangle piece of glass right there. And same on this side. So the outside part is the wood part, and this is our glass. Okay, and then down here, it's an interesting window. I've actually never seen this style of window anywhere else, but it goes straight, and then it's kind of split in half. So let's go like that, I guess. But then what happens is the top is almost like a, it's rounded on that side, and then it's also rounded on this side. So it's like two arched windows that are connected. And then a window there. To be honest, I think up here is woodwork, but I don't mind putting in another little arched window like that. It would let a little bit more light into the building. So let's go and do the same thing on this side. Okay. Then a little rectangle, another little rectangle, and then a little arch inside. Okay, now that is it for our church. I do want to make a little walkway. Actually, this is a good time to erase our guidelines now, because we don't need those anymore. So let's erase our guidelines. Now we're going to make a little walkway. Now this was probably cobblestone. You may or may not know what that is. If you don't know, it's basically just stone, rounded stones for a walkway. And this driveway too was probably cobblestone. I don't know, I'm kind of confused about what that thing is or when it was built. But I'm just gonna make some kind of diagonal lines going out sort of this way. And again, the reason why they're not straight and that they're diagonal is because of the perspective. This is further away from us, and remember, things that are further away from us look smaller. So our walkway is going to look smaller back here than it does closer to us. So that's why we have these angled lines. And we can get into vanishing points and all of that type of stuff later, but for right now, this will do. You know what, I'm feeling like this leg back here needs to be a little bit longer. If you're happy with yours, just leave it. For mine, I feel like it just needs to come down a little bit further. Okay, and then I'm going to make a ground line. Now, sadly, in real life, a whole little village has cropped up around this building. Once upon a time, I'm sure that this was like out like in a field, or maybe there were trees nearby, but I really don't know what it would have looked like at the time. Right now, if I were to take a picture, there's like a house right here and a house right here and all kinds of stuff. But I didn't want to put that in because I want it to be like a nice, peaceful, quiet night with nothing else around. So I didn't really do a landscape. I don't have trees back here or anything. I'm just pretending it's in a field. If you wanted to add like little trees, you could, but you know, that's up to you. Now I did add a tree over here. And if it's too tricky for you, leave it out, okay? It's not that important. But I just wanted to put something else in here. So I'm gonna start with my trunk. I have 2 lines. It's gonna be wider at the bottom, and it's gonna get a little bit skinnier as it goes up, okay? And then basically, I'm just gonna make branches go off of this. And each time that you have a branch go off, it's gonna get skinnier and skinnier. Okay, so I'm gonna have a thinner branch there and come up a little bit more. Maybe I'll have another one go off this way. And I actually did make that too fat. I'll go back in and fix that later. And then, I don't know, maybe it just splits. Maybe that's just the end of it. And then what we do with these is we split them off into more and more branches, so that by the time that you're at the edge of your tree, you should have a whole bunch of little twigs sticking out. I just keep taking each little branch and putting more and more little branches off of it. And they can overlap. I mean, you could do this forever. You could just keep adding branches and that would be perfectly fine. You don't have to do that though. Maybe I want another little branch to come down here. Just keep making more and more lines. And I always make mine wiggly. I have no idea what type of tree this really is, and I'm not really trying to create a specific type of tree. It's just a generic tree. Okay, so that is it for my drawing. Actually, let me erase this ground line out of my trunk. I'll let you take a look at the tree there for a minute if you need a little bit more help on the tree. You know, feel free to text me too if you guys are having trouble drawing any of this. I can always help out. Just have your mom text me. Anyway, so that's our basic drawing, and now I'm gonna go get my oil pastels. So put this on pause, go grab your oil pastels, and then we'll get started on that. Okay guys, I just wanted to give you a reminder of what this thing looks like. Now you can really choose any color that you want. In real life, this was a teal. It's probably a little bit lighter than this, but it was a teal painted, the woodwork was painted teal. And again, this was brick. This was probably stone. I'm not sure what that was. You know what, that might have been slate. I know that this roof was slate. That's a type of a stone. And it actually had a design in the slate. Some of the slate was gray and some of it was kind of a orangey color, kind of like a terracotta color. And we are gonna put a little bit of a design in there. I made the windows yellow just to have some light popping out of it. I'm trying to make a nighttime winter scene. So anyway, that's what mine looks like. You guys can use different colors. You know, if you don't like these colors, that's totally fine. You know, doesn't even need to be brick or whatever. Just make it your own. But this is what I did, and that's why I did that. Now, I will say that you should start with your windows. Whenever you use oil pastels, start with the lightest color first. So I'm going to go in and just color all these windows. And it's okay if you don't stay directly in the lines. I actually had a hard time when I was doing this the first time of trying to do a detailed drawing or detailed image with oil pastels is a little tricky, but that's okay. Just don't plan on perfection. It's just going to be a little quirky and a little bit fun. Okay, just do your best. So the next thing I'm going to do is my building, and for mine, like I said, I used this kind of like a orangey brown color, but you can use whatever color you want. Guys, I'm going to let you pause this while I'm coloring this in, just so our video isn't quite so long. But basically, I'm going to color in this shape here, this shape right here, and this shape here. Okay, and being careful not to go inside of our windows. Oh, that, don't do the doors or the stairs. Okay, so go ahead, pick a color, color that in, and then come back to me, okay? So, oh, we got a little Ron visit. Oh dear, we have a big Ron visit. Ron. Ron. The kittens love art. They kill me. Look, he's gonna sit right on my church. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do, actually I forgot that I did want to color in my bell, that same kind of a color. You can do your bell any color you want.
but I'm gonna make mine kind of like bronzy. So I'm gonna use this color to color in my bell. And again, guys, don't worry about getting right inside the pencil lines. I mean, do your best, but really don't stress too much over it, okay? I think the next thing that I'm gonna do is the woodwork. This, all of this woodwork around here. So I'm gonna pick a color. I'm gonna use teal, but you guys can, you know, if you don't like teal, pick out a different color that you do like. You know what, I'm gonna do this with you so that you can see what parts to do, because it's kind of complicated since there is a lot of woodwork. We're gonna do this outside triangle. Also, the woodwork inside of there. Okay guys, so this is the woodwork that I want you to color in. I want you to leave these other spaces open though, okay? And then over here, we're gonna do the post. And it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Just do your best to fill that space in with some color. Oh, and then also this little piece right here. And I'm not gonna worry about the background yet. Now on the windows, do everything that's not yellow. Here, I'm gonna do one, and then I'll pause this and let you guys finish. And just do the best you can. Like, I'm going way outside of my lines, that's fine. Just do the best you can, okay? So just do these windows right here, the 4 on the top and the 2 down here, okay? Okay guys, so that's how I did my windows. Now what I want you to do is do this part up here. So we're gonna do this shape. This shape right here. And remember that that's open to the air right there. So we're gonna go around that. Around like that. Trying to keep my hand out of the way so you guys can see. Okay, like that. And then we'll do this little piece of wood up here. Okay, and then we're gonna do this T, or I guess it's an upside down T. Upside down T. The outer part of our screen, not the inner part though. Okay. And these 2 pieces of the roof. Okay, now I'm gonna go back in and color those a little bit better in a minute, but I want you to see that. And down here, we can do the part around the window. So go straight, and then the curved line. Okay, yeah, I could have done that a little bit better. Okay, that's okay. Do that. And then I want you guys to do your wreath first before you color in the rest of the door. You know, this is not gonna be like a perfect bow. Just literally just make like a red, in fact, it can just even be a circle, just like a red dot basically to kind of represent a bow. And then just make like little green strokes that come out from that just to kind of form a circle so that it looks like the shape of a wreath. I'm kind of starting at the bow and then just making lines out from that bow. Okay, and then once I've done that, then you can go back in and fill in this other space that is the door. Okay, kind of go up between the 2 circles and around the wreaths like that. And we'll get more detail in later, but right now we're just putting down our foundation color. Okay guys, I just realized I didn't do these 2 windows, so I went ahead and filled those in. And you know, and it's not neat looking, that's okay. What I want you to do now is pick out a couple more colors. I want you to pick out a gray, preferably a gray, but you can do whatever. For the roof, remember the roof is this piece, and this piece. Also for the stairs. And then I want you to pick out a lighter color to use for these inside pieces of our woodwork, like for there and also over in here. I've got some lighter colors. Okay, so go pick out some lighter colors and then fill in the rest of your image. Okay guys, I just took a moment to go ahead and color in the rest of my church. So I'm going to let you pause it on this so that you can just take a look and see what parts I colored in and what colors I used. Now you don't need to use the same colors, but basically I try to use a lighter version here, like a lighter version of that same sort of a teal color. Also I did this little piece of the roof right here, of the driveway, like the cover. I did that in this same color that I used up here. And then down here, for some reason, I used like a peach color. I don't know why. You can use whatever colors you want. But go ahead and fill in your gray spaces and then your woodwork, but your different colored, lighter woodwork. Okay, guys, so just a few more details. And, you know, if you're done with this, you could leave it just as it is. But remember I was saying that there was like this kind of terracotta colored bit in the roofing. I'm just going to kind of make little upside down triangles. They are not going to be perfect. You could also just do like little dots if you wanted to. But just something to give a little bit of an indication of texture in the roof. These old style roofs are beautiful. And it gives an indication that it's just not a normal modern day roof. So I wanted to add in that little bit of detail. Okay, so that's that. Now I also forgot that I wanted to have a piece of woodwork right here. So I'm gonna make a dark colored line with my original woodwork color that goes across the bottom like that. Okay. Now I'm going to get my black and I'm going to make the lines for the stairs. Oops. Just a couple straight lines, either like 2 or 3, 4 at the very most. Okay, and now that's basically it, but I want to do some shading because this is a nighttime scene. Okay, my first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line right here. And another line right here. To kind of show that this stands out, that this comes forward. And then I'm just going to make some kind of light horizontal strokes just to kind of blend that in a little bit. Maybe I'll go like that. And along the ground line, maybe I want a little bit of a shadow. And again, with these oil pastels, you can change your pressure. Like over here, I was using more pressure because I wanted that to be really dark. Now over here, I just want to give a little bit of a hint that this is brick, which has texture to it. So I'm using very, very light pressure and just making these kind of faint lines. Maybe every now and then I'll do a straight up and down line, a vertical line. Just to kind of show, you know, that there's something there, that it's not just a straight flat piece of wall. So over here, I'm going to make that a little bit wider, and then I'm going to do these horizontal lines coming out of there. And then lighter pressure, just a few horizontal lines. And maybe just a couple vertical strokes, just to give an indication, again, of the brick. Let's do a shadow underneath this gray piece right here. We can also put more indications of brick in this part. So real light pressure, horizontal lines, and a couple of smaller vertical strokes in there. Okay, on our roof as well, I'm going to do just some real light lines. Horizontal lines. Actually, really, it's the same thing that we did on the brick. You know, a few small vertical lines and some horizontal lines. Maybe we want a little bit of a shadow, not too dark, underneath this blue line that we just drew, like that. Maybe up here, maybe we want like a black shadow underneath that. Really, you could put shadows in wherever you feel like it. I don't want to get too carried away on this video, but you know, if you're a little bit more into this and you have a better idea of where the shadows would be and should be, you know, you could spend quite some time going in and try to make this perfect. If you want to do that, go ahead. I'm not going to do it for the sake of time, but you know, you could do as much as you want on the shadowing. I am going to put a little bit of a line here where our driveway roof meets this other roof, and maybe also a line like that little diagonal line that we had right there, and underneath that, maybe also underneath these triangle lines that we had right here, like the upside down V. Okay, just wherever you think it needs to stand out a little bit. Maybe underneath these windows. Maybe right there on these little stairs. In fact, we could do some light lines on these stairs just to give it a little bit of texture. And maybe one right here at the base. Okay, so that is our church. I am going to go on, though, to my foreground. So, it's a snowy night. Snow means white, and night means shadows. Shadows, instead of using black, we're going to use our cool colors, so blues and purples. I'm going to start with a darker kind of a blue, actually. And I'm just going to make some lines. This isn't going to be perfect because I'm going to blend it in later with my white. So I'm just going to make some lines. Maybe over here in my driveway a little bit. Back here. We don't want to do the whole thing, okay? This is, especially this dark blue is for our darkest shadows. I'm not going to do the path yet. I want to let that sit. Oh, I just realized we didn't do our tree. We'll have to do that as well. But maybe a little bit of shadow underneath of our tree. Again, I'm not exactly sure where our light source is. I'm imagining here. I'm imagining that the moon is like up here somewhere, kind of like behind the church, but high enough that we can't see it. Is kind of what I'm picturing. So we'll have some of that blue. We can also put in some of this lighter blue. Just a little bit, just hints of color. I'm also going to do just a little bit of this here purple. If you don't like, it's kind of a pinkish purple. If that's not your thing and you don't like that color, don't worry about it. Maybe you could put a little bit of teal in if that's more your thing. I'm gonna put a little bit of this darker purple too. Just a couple of these dark highlight spots, or dark shadow spots. Okay. Now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to go over all of that. Again, I'm not doing my my sidewalk yet, but I'm basically going to do all of the snowy areas, and I'll do the parts that we just colored first, and then drag that into the areas that are totally white. So see how that kind of blends it in? It kind of blends the colors together. Now, I want to work in horizontal strokes on this. Every now and then I might do like a more vertical stroke just to smooth out an area. but then ultimately I want to go back in and do horizontal strokes over top of it. Like right in here. It's just easier along these lines to do vertical strokes, but I don't want to have the look of vertical strokes. So I'm going to start with vertical strokes just to fill in the space, but then I'm going to go back in and do these horizontal strokes again. My paper needs to be torn off of my pastel. It's getting a little low. Let me just see if I can finish this out, and then I'll fix it real quick. Like in here again, I'm going to go up and down just because it's easier to not hit the other, you know, the woodwork. But then I want to go back in and do horizontal strokes over top. Like that. Oh, and right here too. There's a little space. Okay, so that's that side. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and let you guys do the other side. Don't go over the tree, but you know, do all of this part first, and then come in around the tree and to the edge of our sidewalk. Okay, and then we'll finish up the sidewalk and we'll move on to the next thing. Okay. Okay, guys. So I have just finished, and again, I've got these bits everywhere. Just leave them. Okay, we can shake those off when we're done. I'm going to take my black now, and I'm going to color in my tree. And you know what, guys? Try not to rest your hand on your drawing. I'm trying to find spots where I haven't colored in yet, because I don't want to get the oil pastel all over my hand. It's not a crisis, but it tends to smear a little easier if you have it all over your hands. So I'm just going to go straight up. And again, it's not perfect. I'm just kind of doing the best I can. I'm going to branch off in a couple spots. Actually, this one I think I'm going to keep going up. Branch off. Branch off. Something kind of like that as my base. And then I'm going to come in here and just do a bunch of little lines coming off. Each one of these twigs gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You can have as many or as few branches as you would like. It's really fine with me. I just wanted to put something over here. And you know what? I'm not going over top of my pencil lines at all. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. I'm also not doing as like the little fine lines out here that I had before, just because with the chalk pastel, or I keep saying chalk, I'm sorry, with the oil pastel, it just kind of gets hard to do those tiny little skinny lines. So, I think this will do. Something like that. Maybe one more branch coming up like this. I kind of want it to frame the church a little bit. Like I don't want it to go over top of it, but kind of fill in that space up there. Okay, now our walkway. I saved this for last because I want this to be done a little bit differently. I kind of want to, you know what, let's use the white first and color the whole thing in with the white. Remember how I was talking a little bit about cobblestone before? Cobblestone is really cool. I don't know if you guys have been to historic towns, but a lot of times if you go to a really old town, you'll see the walkways and like where the carriages used to go are made of literally just stones instead of the types of roads that we have today. They're big kind of round stones, and they're really kind of neat looking. And I wanted to give an indication of that sort of a walkway. So what I'm going to do is just do these little, they're really almost just like little dashes. They can be straight or they can be slightly curved, slightly rounded. Now they're going to be smaller back here and they're going to get larger as they come towards us. Because remember we said before that things that are closer to us look larger than the things that are further away. So they can start out really as, you know, small little ovals here and then get smaller and smaller, like little strokes as we get closer to the church. Okay, and we're not going to fill in the whole space because I want to use lots of colors. So we'll do that first. Maybe we want to use this dark blue closer into the building where it might have a little bit more of a shadow. You know, if you want to, you could also do a little bit of this in the actual driveway. I'm not sure why I didn't in my first one. But if you want to, you could also do the same type of thing over here. If you prefer to just leave it alone, that's totally fine too. Okay, and remember that we can change our pressure as well. You know, if you're going to use a lot of pressure, you're going to have a more solid, defined area. If you use lighter pressure, it's just going to kind of be like a highlight or an indication of something, but not a hard object or a hard line. Okay, now with this purple, I'm kind of smearing some of these other colors, kind of on purpose. Because I just want to soften it a little. You know, it's nighttime, they're in the distance. They're not going to be too strongly visible, you know, like each little stone. The texture will be visible, but not really the individual stones. A little bit more over here. I'm using a lot lighter pressure over here. Maybe also because it's the driveway. I don't want it to be like a focal point because it's kind of off to the side. So those lighter pressured strokes work well over there because it's just sort of an indication of something, but nothing definite. Okay, something like that. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could keep going and add all kinds of colors. You know, you could throw in some of the colors that you used on your building, your wood. You know, or you can just be done. Whatever makes you happy. Your drawing is done when you feel like it's done. Okay. I actually don't want to leave too much white close to the church. Because I want that to be a little bit more shadowed. So maybe kind of like that. So that is it for our oil pastel. Now, you guys have done a lot of work. You might be tired and maybe want to just stop here. Or you can do the sky later. I'm going to go ahead and do the watercolor now. And if you'd like to do it with me, I would love that. But if you want to take a break, I totally understand that too. Okay, guys, so I have all my watercolor supplies. I've got my jar of water, my paper towel, my brush, and my watercolors. One more thing that I just thought of, though, that we should have done before. If you look at my original, I have like some little like snow falling, little white snow falling. So I'm going to use my white and just make little dots with my my oil pastel. You don't have to do this. If you don't want it to be snowing, that's fine. The way that I sort of vision this is that this is old snow that maybe that's been there all winter long. You know, it's been snowing, and this is kind of old snow. And maybe it's just flurrying a little bit outside right now. Oh, I also did get my Epsom salts. If you guys have access to Epsom salts or just regular salt, go ahead and get that now before we start painting. You know what? Well, I don't want to do it now. Paintbrush might be a good way to get some of this stuff off later. Also, if you want, you could tape down your edges so it doesn't lift up when we're painting. I actually don't have any painter's tape at the moment, so I'm just going to let mine go. Usually what I do is I let it, you know, if it's going to crinkle up, and if I'm not taping it down, I let it dry until it's 99% dry, and then I'll put it under a book or something like that, so that when it completely dries, it's underneath something, and then it will lay flat afterwards. So that's something that you guys can do if you're not able to tape it down and you don't want it to be all crinkled. Okay, so I just took my brush and I just got some straight clean water on it. I am just going to wet the top of this. I don't need to make it crazy wet. And we can go right over top of our oil pastels, because remember, oil and water don't mix. So it'll be fine just to go right over top of it. Now, the more water that you use, the more that your paper will crinkle up later, but that's okay. I want you to do all of that. I also want you to fill in this area by the bell tower. Okay. And now pick out some of your favorite colors. I personally liked doing dark blue, teal, and some purples. And just go back and forth over the sky. I think on mine I tended to do the whole thing first in the blue and then go back in and add some of those other colors. And the less water that you use, the darker your color will be as well. Of course, your watercolor needs to have water added, but it doesn't need to be like a swimming pool. Like, it can just be a little bit wet. And the less water you have, the darker your color will be. Okay. Try not to use too much pressure with your brush as you're doing this. Your paper can tear when it's too wet. And especially, you know, if you're using a lot of pressure with your paintbrush, that can cause your paper to shred and tear. And, you know, it's not the end of the world if it happens, but we try not to do that if we can help it. Now, in order to get all these different colors, you can't paint the whole sky with the same color. So, you know, I did start with the blue, but like with the purple, I'm just kind of doing it in certain places. I'm not doing the whole thing. And I'm actually going to go in over here and take a little bit of green. I used a teal last night, but it didn't blend, or it didn't stand out, I should say, as much as I wanted it to. So I'm just going to use straight green up here. And you can put that over top of the purple, or next to the purple, and make stripes. Whatever you want to do. I try not to overwork it too much, again, so the paper doesn't shred. But, you know, do whatever you want. Make it so that you're happy with it. I might want to put a little bit more purple on the upper sky because I have so much down here and not much up here. Maybe I'll use a slightly different shade this time. And maybe just add a little bit more of that purple to tie that in. Maybe I'll blend that a little bit more. It will blend some on its own over time too. That's why we put the water down first, because that helps your colors to blend. And you know what? I'm feeling like I want a little bit of just pure blue in here. I painted all of my pure blue spots. And maybe I really do want just some pure blue somewhere. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to go in and get my Epsom salts. Let me pause this for 1 second. Okay, now while this is still wet, I'm going to get some of my salts. And you know, it doesn't really matter how much you use. I just take it with my hand and sprinkle it on. And it does work better where the paper is rather wet. But anyway, there's some salts on there. Let's see what that does. And then, you know, what I do, I don't know if I talked about this before, but when I'm all done, you know, I let this thing get, I'm going to say 99% dry. So it's not wet to the touch, but I can still tell that the paper might just be slightly damp still. And at that point, I will just take my hand and kind of rub this off. I'm just going to let it sit here just like this. But when it feels like it's mostly dry, I'll rub some of this off, and then I'll go take it to the trash can and dump that into the trash. And then I'll put my artwork underneath a book, or, you know, inside of a book, or underneath something that's a little heavier, so that when it dries out all the way, it'll lay nice and flat. Okay, so I think that is it for our church painting. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this assignment. I think this is the end of Christmas. I think I can't do any more Christmas from now on. We'll probably do some winter stuff, maybe some winter animals or some winter scenes over the next couple weeks. But I hope that you guys had fun with this one, and I'd love to see how they turned out. So please send me your images, and have a good week. I'll see you guys next time, okay? Take care. Bye.